Welcome to Family Friendly Bushcraft and the first in our first aid series. Today we're going to be doing simply the primary and secondary survey and the recovery position. Conan, Lurch here is going to be the first casualty, and we're going to teach the skills and then the boys are going to go off to practice on each other. Once I finish wrestling with the tripod, I'll probably get a bit of footage of them doing it as well. But first we're going to do a walkthrough, talk through. We're going to do a quick demonstration. Now, what comes first? Dr. ABC, isn't it?
Yeah. See if they're alright,
Yes, Dr. ABC. So danger, response, airway, breathing, circulate. So you're approaching the casualty. You want to be making sure there's no further danger to him and none for you. Now, we're in England, so it's not likely he's had a snake bite and one hiding in all the bits of spruce line on the deck around us. Possibility of head injuries, things like that. We're on a campsite as he tripped over one of the firestones, bashed his head as he just walked into something on the way. We're assessing, we see there's no particular danger to us anymore. Whatever's put him down has passed, whether it be a physical injury or a medical emergency. So we're out in the cuds. We may all be out doing bushcraft things. We may have people out on the ground doing various tasks, and we may have found this casualty on our own. So we want a response from the casualty, and we also want a response from people around. So shout up, help, I found somebody on the deck, I need a hand. And we want a response from him. Roy, you okay? What's going on? What's happening? Why are you down there? So we want to do a bit of a shake and shout. You okay? Why are you lying there? So he's not responding to that, he's not responding to our voice, is it? So then we want to do a bit of a tap on the clavicle, just with the tips of our fingers. The clavicle is the collarbone, just running along that, really easy to find. If a stranger taps on that when you're just having a bit of a kip, then you're going to realise it, you're going to feel it, and it's going to bring you around. It's the pain response. Years ago we used to teach about pinching the earlobe, but adrenaline starts running when people are hurt and you're doing your biz, and so that's no longer what we do. So a couple of quick taps on the clavicle just to see if we can get a response. And as it's that part of the lesson, we're not getting a response at the moment. So we've had no response, not alert, we've had no response to voice, we've had no response to pain. So he's unresponsive. So now we're going to ABC, airway, breathing and circulation. So airway, we're going to look, we're going to pinch the sides of the mouth and open the mouth. And just take a look inside, see if there's anything in there. He may have choked, he may have been eating dampers at the campfire and sucked a bit back. We don't know. If there's anything in there, we want to clear it. If we were to open the airway first, then the chances are that object would have fallen back, further occluded the airway and caused more problems. So, open, look and clear, nothing in there. So we're going to look, inspect and clear the airway. So nothing when we open the airway falls back and further occludes it. We're then going to place the palm of the hand on the front of the forehead, the finger either side on the bony part of the chin, and extend the head into the snip in the morning air position. With a head tilt chin lift manoeuvre, so put your head back as it was. So flatten the hand on the forehead, two fingers on either side of the jaw, and lift the head into the snip in the morning air position. Just imagine yourself getting out of the tent in the middle of the morning, first thing, nice crisp air, sniffing that lovely fresh air. The idea is to open that airway and allow the tongue, if it's fallen back, to be lifted away. People talk about swallowing the tongue in years gone by. You don't. The tongue's a muscle, it relaxes, occludes the airway in the unconscious casualty because everything goes floppy. So we've got to control the head, keep it in that position, and then we want to look, listen and feel. We're looking, listening and feeling for 3 or 4 clear breaths. Your breaths stink. 3 or 4 clear breaths for a maximum of 10 seconds. Nothing is in there. And then we're going to look, listen and feel for 10 seconds to make sure we've got normal breathing. At 10 seconds we're looking for 3 to 4 good breaths. And we're listening for raspy sounds, wheezing, anything that sounds untoward in there. That tells us the casualty is breathing normally. As the casualty is breathing normally, we then assume that circulation is present. In the first aid sphere now, we don't do checking for pulses, although we will cover that in a later lesson, because in austere, in outside environments, it's important information to be able to hand over. So, we're thinking circulation is there, so we're taking a look around. Just a quick visual inspection. We're looking for any dampness in the clothes that could point to a bleed, any patches of blood. Bear in mind he's laid down on a bed of spruce, that's branches, needles, it's a couple of inches deep, so possibly if he is bleeding, it's coming from the back or going directly down between the branches into the ground. Our primary survey now complete. If we're not seeing anything, we're going to move on in a minute to the secondary survey, which is a more detailed top-to-toe survey treating what we find on the way. So the secondary survey then, by this time we will want to be in the kit, get us a pair of gloves on. I haven't got gloves with me today because this is demonstration purposes, so I'm not doing some other training. So with gloves to protect yourself, because people and their bodily fluids are often full of all kinds of charming things, bloodborne pathogens, that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is think about eye care as well. This person you found may be wearing glasses. Take them off, put them somewhere out of the way where they're not going to take damage. We're then going to start with the eyes. We're looking around the eyes. We're looking for raccoon eyes, which is the blood trying to escape through the holes in the skull. It's a sign of a skull fracture. Now we can see we're clear of that, so we're going to take a look in the eyes themselves. We're looking for the pupils and their reactions to the light. Are they equal, clear and reactive? We look at the nose. We're looking for any fluid coming from the nose. Clear sticky fluid with flecks of blood. It can be cerebrospinal fluid. And again, complete to a skull fracture. And the same with the ears. We're looking at the ears themselves. We're looking at for any contusions while we're working around the place. And we're looking for any, once again, clear sticky fluid or blood coming from the ears. Again, to point to the skull fracture. There's really important information to be able to hand over. So with our gloved hands, we're then going to start feeling around the head. A fingertip feel around. The skull is fairly uniform. It's usually just one shape, a fairly round shape. Any boggy areas, any sharp edges, anything that feels untoward, very likely is untoward. And we're going to carry on that feeling around and down the back of the neck. We're feeling down the C-spine. We want to make sure that that is in a straight line as it should be and where it's meant to be. Our hands, of course, have been out of sight at this time, so we want to check them. Check for any body fluids that we haven't previously noticed before. Now we've done the head and the C-spine, and it took us a couple of seconds. There's nothing wrong with going back and just not listening and feeling for another 10 seconds, just to make sure that casualty is still breathing. Again, we don't know what's putting down at this point, and we want to make sure that that airway stays open. If you train in first aid on a certificate basis, many people only do the training once every 3 years, and this may have taken you a significant amount of time by now, by the time you remember what to do and in which order to do it. So now we've done the head, we've rechecked the airway, we're going to now start feeling around the clavicles, around the shoulders. Again, we're making sure everything is symmetrical. Any sharp edges that shouldn't be there, any distortions such as the shoulder down here could point to a dislocation. Any sharp edges where there shouldn't be, maybe a break. Again, it can point to trauma and give us an educated guess as to what's gone on. We're then going to feel around, down the shoulders and into the arms. We're going to use force to feel down through the body tissues and to the long bones. Again, we're feeling for anything out of shape. The long bones are called that. The long bones here are called that because they're long bones and they should be a nice straight line. We're feeling for any steps, any kinks, anything out of shape, anything that isn't a good normal shape. And we want to make sure we feel right the way down the hands into the fingers. Again, we're looking for what could injuries that have occurred during the fall or during the initial event itself. We're then going to feel down the sides of the rib cage and down the front, down the sternum. If you're a male doing this examination without any formal qualification, use the back of your hands. We are in a litigious society. People do sometimes get the wrong idea. Better to protect yourself. down to the base of the sternum and round the bottom ribs. So, we've got so far not found any issues as yet. We're then going to reach round behind as far as we can and have another good feel around. We'll look feeling as far underneath as we can towards the spine, making sure everything is the shape that it should be. At this point our hands have been out of sight again, so we want to give them a double check. Make sure there's no bodily fluids on there. So we felt down both arms now. We felt around down behind in the small of the back as far as we can go to determine. A good secondary check under the armpit. There are groups of people around who like to be quite violent to each other. When they do, they're known to stab each other under the armpit because they know it's quite difficult to find. In certain areas you'll know where it is. Well worth checking, well worth making sure anyway, but it's just an extra bit of information. We then want to assess the abdomen, and we want to quarter the abdomen. Conan, we will lift his shirt up. Quite often you wouldn't with people you don't know, just to be on the safe side, but this makes it really useful for demonstration purposes. There's a line that runs down the centre of the abdomen and draw another line across just above the belly button, and one press down in each quarter, firmly but not hard, gently but firmly, put it how you will. We're feeling for any difference in the pressure that you receive. If there's a hard quarter there, there's a potential for an internal injury, and any movement we then come to do later on, we've got the risk of exacerbating that injury by releasing any pressure that's stopping any internal bleeding. Again, it's good information to pass on and may well dictate the next level of care. We're moving down to the pelvis, and we can see the wings of the pelvis because Conan's a skinny son. So just get the flats of your hands and press down gently. There should be no movement. Any movement, any flex to a broken pelvis. The pelvis is a circle of bone, and there's quite a substantial space in there. Any movement in the pelvis can point to a broken pelvis, and it being a very vascular area can be a life-threatening injury. There's room in there to bleed out. The pelvis itself breaks like a polo, so in more than one area, and it's very important information to be able to pass on. And then we carry on as we were before, down the legs. Again, unconscious casualties aren't normally ticklish. Again, we're putting enough pressure to go through the body tissues and to be able to feel any breaks in continuity of the bone. All the way down to the feet, and bearing in mind we are in the outdoors, so we may be wearing substantial pairs of boots. If we found no injury by now, we may have to remove the boots. Just have a look and a feel down inside. If you can feel any blood in there, any body fluids, that sort of thing, we may have to cut it away to find the root of the injury. So, following the secondary survey, nobody's come to our aid. We're thinking now about, we may have to leave this unconscious casualty to raise the alarm. Perhaps we're in a dead spot for signal, perhaps we've just been the two of us out camping and we can't extract on our own. So, we may want to think about the recovery position. Recovery position is really useful because it allows the casualty to be laid in such a way that they are reasonably comfortable should they start coming round. It allows a drainage space should the casualty vomit, which the unconscious casualty will do very often, and it allows us to make sure the airway's maintained, to leave for a short period of time to raise the alarm. So the recovery position, and we want to make sure we're not going to be injuring him any further, so we want to move things out of his pockets that he's going to lie on and injure himself. Nothing else? No. Nothing in the side pockets, no keys or anything like that that's going to dig in. So first and foremost, we raise the near hand to us into the waving position, the howl position. That is the last part of the body that you touch on this side of the casualty. You then take your hand on the lower end of the casualty, and from the outside of the knee, so you never lose control of it, you pull up, placing the foot nearest, as near to the behind as you can. You take the opposite hand with your higher hand in a thumb to thumb grip, place it under the casualty's head. Remember, the unconscious casualty is relaxed. If you turn them over without controlling the head, they're likely to take a secondary injury or head to the floor. The knee opposite you then, you press down and move the leg forward. That gives a good base of support. You've got the knee sticking out and forward and the trailing leg still sticking out behind. This gives you a good solid base. And now his head is supported by his hand, and it gives a good area. Should he vomit as he starts to change levels of consciousness, he's got somewhere for it to go instead of blocking the airway. And should he become conscious again, he's in a reasonably comfortable position. We're once again going to extend the airway slightly and look, listen and feel with the backs of our hands. We're feeling for exhale breath on the back of the hand, and on the back of the lower hand we're feeling for the rise and fall of the chest. This gives us an opportunity to have a more thorough examination of the back, to have a feel around, make sure there's no sharp bits where there shouldn't be, no holes where there shouldn't be, all of that side of things. And again, look under the armpit. As you can see, it's quite a sensitive area. Okay lads, are we all happy with the primary and secondary surveys?
Yes.
Right, good stuff. Okay, cheers Conan. Right, Connor and Tyson.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the casualty? And
No.
who's going to be... Right, come into the camp area. Dr. ABC, doctor, is danger. You're looking for danger, what you're assessing for?
Any his appearance.
Any danger to yourself or the casualty?
Any danger to myself.
Can you see any?
Tripped on the back.
There's a load of litter on the floor, isn't there? He's probably tripped over the bin.
Or kicked his toe.
Right, there's no danger to you, so carry on.
And shout if he's okay.
Yep.
Hello, are you okay?
Shake and shout, shoulder.
Hello? Hello? Are you okay?
He's not responding to you. Pain response. That's it. Casualties don't normally giggle. He's not alert. He's not responded to voice. He's not responded to pain. So what do we say he is?
Unconscious.
Unresponsive. So, that's doctor. What about ABC?
Check his breathing.
Airway, breathing, circulation. A, B, C, always in that order. Have we shouted for help? Because we're out in the cuds, aren't we?
So should shout for help.
Shout for help.
Help! Help! Help!
Help, I've got somebody unresponsive.
Help, I've got someone unresponsive.
There you go. So whoever's out doing bushcraft tasks within earshot should be coming to help you now. Okay, so ABC, airway, what do?
We listen for...
Look, open, inspect.
Open.
Inspect. So there's nothing in there, so we now want to open the airway. How do we do that? Head tilt, chin lift, correct. Sniff in the morning air position. Now look, listen and feel for 10 seconds. Look, listening and feeling for 10 seconds. For 3 to 4 good breaths. Okay, so he's breathing, so circulation's there. So just step back a bit and look for any big bloods, any wet clothing, any patches of staining that shouldn't be there. Nothing around, no. So thankfully so far he's not bleeding out as we know of, and we're going to go into the secondary survey. What is the secondary survey? A more detailed top to toe survey of the casualty. So what do we start with? Connor, you're unconscious. Be still. Right. Look at the eyes. Look around the eyes. Remove any glasses if they're there. Okay, put them somewhere safe. What are we looking for around the eyes?
Any bruises?
Good lad. It's what they call the raccoon eyes. Looks like, you know the old raccoons, the trash pandas in the States. Looks like them. Really, really dark bruising. It's blood trying to escape from the cranial cavity. Okay, so we've looked around the eyes. There's no bruising. What are we going to do with the eyes next?
Check inside them to see.
Gently open the eyelids. We're looking for pupil response. You can do one at a time like that, and then both together. Okay, so we're satisfied that we've got what we call pearl. Pupils equal responsive to light. Okay, so the eyes are done. We're looking at what now?
The
nose. What we're looking for? What we're looking for coming from the nose.
CSF.
Yeah. So what we're looking for from the nose?
Sticky blood. Sticky gooey stuff. Blood.
With blood in, yeah, possibly. So, okay, there's none of that. So we're looking at the ears. What are we looking at the ears for?
Gooey, sticky stuff with blood in.
Yeah. And we're also looking for bruising around the back of the ears, aren't we?
Yeah.
Can you remember what that's called?
No, I can't.
That's called Battle's sign. That is another sign of a skull fracture. Okay, so there's none of that present. So what are we doing now?
Moving on. Wait, are we moving?
We're feeling round the head and the C-spine, aren't we?
That's alright.
That's all alright, is it? Okay, you can have another listen for breathing just to make sure he still is?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's put him down yet, do you? It's only 10 seconds out your day and you've not been that busy yet, have you?
No.
Okay, so then we're going to start checking the torso and the arms, aren't we? So we're going to start from the top of that area, from the shoulders and the clavicle, shoulders and collarbones.
Down the sides.
Now down the sides to the bottom of the ribs, just the bottom of the ribs. Now down the centre, down the sternum, to the bottom of the sternum, and round outside the ribs, that's it. Okay, so now with the tips of the fingers. Connor, unconscious people do not giggle.
2, 3, 4.
You want to press down hard enough so you can feel, but not hard enough to cause any issues. Remember, the unconscious person's going to be very relaxed. And then we want to be feeling under the small of the back, don't we, for anything we can feel that's untoward in there. And again, check the hands, check for any bodily fluids. Check your hands for any bodily fluids on there. Then down each arm, putting enough force to press through the body tissues from the top. Again, it's top to toe. We want to feel the continuity of the long bones and the joints in the arm. Okay, so onto the pelvis.
Pelvis is this part.
Yes, the wings of the pelvis. Just press down once on both sides together. No, flatten your hand on the wing. That's it, and push towards the ground. That's it. No movement in there. So we're happy that that's not going to be a life-threatening injury. You're unconscious. Stop dressing yourself. So now you can feel the hips. See if there's any disfigurement there. Feel the hips, just there. Down a bit. Down. Okay, so we're happy there. And looking at the legs, they're both the same length. So we're not thinking there's a neck of femur injury or anything like that is the obvious injury. So feel down now through all the leg tissue right the way to the feet. Do one leg at a time. And just have a little feel around inside the boots, see if there's any blood in there. We know there's not, so don't do it for this session. Okay, are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Right, let's go with the recovery position then. So the hand nearest to you, put as if he's waving to somebody out at sea. The leg furthest away from you, with your right hand, control from the outside of the leg so you don't have to let go of it, and bring the knee up. Keep control of that leg with that hand. Remember, he's unconscious. If you let go, it's going to go off into the distance. Now the opposite hand, with your left hand, take a thumb to thumb grip.
Like that.
That's it, yes, spot on. Now bring that hand over under his cheek nearest to you. That is going to be the hand that controls his head, so he doesn't headbutt the floor. Then use the knee that you've got your right hand on as a lever and pull it towards you. Spot on. Pull that leg out to act as a support. And the knee up a bit towards you. Make sure his head's resting comfortably on his hand and pull that hand away. And then just double check the airway. Just make sure he's still breathing. So a hand in front of the head to feel the exhale there. You may have to open the airway again. And the hand against his chest to make sure it's still rising and falling. Okay. I didn't say cuddle him, did I?
I'm not cuddling.
Okay, are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Now, you notice the difference between the way I did the recovery position and the way you did the recovery position. And I deliberately didn't tell you for why. So you've put him on his right hand side, where I put him on his left hand side. Why do you think I put him on his left hand side?
So then you have more room to get.
No.
I don't know.
I've not taught you, it's just in case you've covered it in Scouts. I like to get used to putting everyone on their left hand side, because if it's a pregnant woman, you only put them on the left hand side. That way the fetus isn't squashing blood vessels and causing problems to mother and child. Not that I think Connor's a pregnant woman or anything, but...
Even though he does act like one.
But it's a good practice and a good idea to get into practice of doing that, because that way you're never going to put a pregnant woman on the wrong side. Because in these situations, adrenaline can start rushing, you start flapping, you just want to get them there so you can get away and get help. But worth remembering. Okay?
Get up, I'm unconscious
Yep, I'm doing it to you. On you go.
now. I need to act like I've just been
Right, from the beginning, Conan.
Yep.
Go outside the shelter. Okay, come on in, tell me what you're doing.
Right. Dr. ABC.
Yeah,
So I'm going to be aware of my surroundings, see what log caused him to be how he is now.
yeah, so you can see the bin bag's been scattered.
Yep. Tripped over the slug here.
He could have tripped over that log there, yeah, good, well done.
So now I've made sure there's nothing harmful to me or the patient.
Yeah, well done.
Walk up to him, shake him, shout, see if he's aware. Hello,
Yeah.
hello, what's going on?
Yeah, he's not responding.
Nope. Shout for help.
Yeah, we're out in the cuds, somebody could be just over the brow of the hill and hear you.
Help, I've got someone unconscious, help. So now I'm gonna
So you've done the shake and shout, what about a pain response?
pain response. Yeah. Now I'm gonna do the pain response.
So you don't need to get inside the clothes, just feel around, find the clavicle, give it a couple of taps. Smashing, yep, just the job.
Not responding to that.
So,
So now I'm gonna do
ABC.
which is airway, breathing, circulation.
Correct. So how are we going to check the airway?
Airway. So hand like that.
Nope,
No, it's like that.
nope. We're going to do LIC, aren't we? Look, inspect, clear. So, pinch and open the mouth, inspect inside, pinch for the corners together, open it up, just have a look in there. There's nothing in there, so that is clear. So then we come on to the head to chin lift, which is what I think we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So flatten your hand on the forehead, 2 fingers under the chin on the bony part, extend the head to the sniff of the morning air position. Smashing. Now look, listen and feel for 10 seconds. So, head next to the mouth, looking down the body. We're looking for the rise and fall of the chest, listening for any noisy, wheezy, any odd breathing, and feeling for the rise and fall of the chest. We're looking for how many good breaths in that 10 seconds?
3.
3 to 4. Okay, so he's breathing normally, but still unconscious. So, because he's breathing, we've done doctor, we've done A, we've done C, B, we've done, what's C?
C is circulation.
Circulation. And because he's breathing normally, we're taking it that circulation is present. So what's the next check?
Next check is anything around the eye.
No, that's the secondary survey. So we want to step back and look for big bloods, don't we?
Yeah.
We want to look for pooling, staining, wetness where it shouldn't be, and bear in mind the surface we're on Okay, so there is no obvious severe bleed to take care of. Okay, secondary survey, what's that?
Secondary survey. So first of all, you can look for anything around the eyes to see if the blood, I think that you said, is trying to escape the skull.
No, first take care of the eyes. Any glasses, anything like that, we're going to put them somewhere safe. Then we're going to, next we're going to look for bruising. What's that similar to?
I think you was on about a skunk or
Raccoon.
raccoon. Yeah, that was it.
It's still American fauna, but slightly less smelly. Okay, and what can that be a sign of?
A fractured skull.
Yep, well done.
Blood trying to escape.
Yep. So there's none of that. So what we're going to do with the eyes next?
Open them, see if anything's trying to leak or anything.
No, we're going to open them and look for the reaction of the pupils. So do you remember the acronym PEARL? Pupils equal responsive to light. So that can be an indicator of a head injury, but we'll cover that in a later session. Okay, but it's good information to pass on to the emergency services. So what else are we looking for in the face?
Anything coming out the nose or the ears, like...
Which will be clear sticky fluid?
Yes, clear sticky fluid with blood.
With potentially flecks of blood. Clear sticky fluid with flecks of blood is CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, it can indicate a fractured skull. So, and yes, you're right, you're looking around the nose and the ears for that. What else are we looking for around the ears? Do you remember Battle's sign? The bruising around the back of the ears. So pull the ears forward slightly. He's in a hoodie. We're not removing clothes at this point. So obvious bruising around the back of the ears. Battle's sign, again, can point to a fractured skull. So now our survey moves on, doesn't it? And at this point we'd be gloved up. So a fingertip feel round the head and down into the base of the skull. What are we looking for?
Anything that feels like it shouldn't be there, or any sharp bits.
Yeah, or boggy bits.
Right down this list as well.
Yeah, what we're feeling for in the C-spine. But it's all in line and there's nothing that feels out of place.
And then do it from the shoulder bones down the arm.
Shoulders into the collarbones. What we're feeling for?
And if anything's out of place or any bogginess.
Well, anything out of place or anything sharp where there shouldn't be, or any disfigurement, such as misplaced shoulders. Okay, so before we do the arms, we're going to do the torso. So feel down the outside of the ribs to the base of the rib. There we go. And then down the centre, so you get used to doing that in case you're working on a female in a non-professional environment. Okay, nothing feeling out of place?
Nope.
And we're feeling around the base of the ribs again for anything sharp, anything that shouldn't be there, anything out of place. And behind the body into the small of the back as far as we can go. When we've done that, check the hands again. Check your hands again. We're looking for bodily fluids again that we hadn't noticed before. Okay, all clear. So now you're on the arms, you're right. So describe what you're doing.
So I'm squeezing his arm with that much pressure that I can get through the tissue and feel if anything's out of place or anything sharp.
Exactly right, yeah. So placing enough pressure to feel through the tissue for the continuity of the bones and the joints. Remember, not everybody these days is as skinny as you bunch of rat bags.
I've got a question about that pain one. You know when you're doing the arms?
Yeah.
I was currently doing that. Isn't another one like their muscle? They can press them.
No, it's a different manoeuvre. That's indirect pressure for stopping bleeding, but they don't teach that anymore because people haven't got the physical capability to keep the pressure on for long enough. Okay, so what part of the abdomen have we not done yet?
The stomach.
Yeah, well done. What are we going to do?
We're gonna
Divide it into 4?
get our fingertips and then divide it into 4 and just press down.
One in each quarter.
Yeah.
That's right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And you're feeling for any difference in the feel of firmness, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so down to the pelvis.
Here.
Hand either side, yeah. Now press down with the flat of your hand just once. That's it. Okay. And what are we considering it is if there's any movement in the pelvis?
If there's any movement in the pelvis, then it could be that they've fractured it or broke it.
If they've fractured it, what's the problem? There's a lot of space in there and it's very vascular. So that vascularity and the space causes problems in that if the space fills up with blood, there's nothing going around the body. So it's important information to be able to pass on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so to finish the secondary survey, we're now going down the legs. Describe to me what you're doing there.
So, just with the same with the arms, I'm pressing down just through the tissue to see if there's anything sharp.
Yep.
Or if anything's out of place or anywhere.
Yep. Continuity of the bones and joints again.
So I'm going to do that with one leg at a time.
Yep.
Put it down to the foot.
Okay, smashing. Okay, secondary survey. You've not found anything in particular to worry about yet. No real injury, but you still want a lift. You know you've got a qualified first aider on site. You want them to come and help you. So what are you going to do with the casualty to allow you to go and do that so he's not going to vomit and choke on it?
So I'm going to put him in the recovery position.
Perfect, yeah.
So what you're going to do...
No, leave the leg alone for a minute. The hand nearest to you into the waving position, or the how position. Think of the old cowboy and Indian films with one hand, how Kimosabi, all of that shit. Yeah. So now the leg opposite you,
Lift that one up.
and control it with your right hand. Do not let go of it with your right hand. Then with your left hand, grasp the opposite hand in a thumb to thumb grip. Thumb to thumb. That's it. So that gives you control of the hand, which in turn lets you control his head without getting your hand stuck. Okay, so place it under the cheek and use the lever of the leg opposite you to bring him over. That's it. Don't worry about being in quite a confined condition, because quite often are when people go falling over. Okay, so make sure he's in the stable position. You may have to shove the trailing leg back a bit. Trailing leg back a bit. That's it. Okay, there we go. And check the airway and breathing again. Make sure he is still breathing. You may have to tilt the head back again. Now he's got a vomit zone, so you know where the first aider is on site. You can leg it down where he's having a brew, or you can go to whatever activity he's doing. We're on 3 acres here, so you might be a couple of minutes. Again, when you come back to him, check him again, make sure he's still breathing, which is ideal. Okay, are you happy with the primary survey, secondary survey, and the recovery position?
Yep.
Okay, so why did we say to get used to, even though you've laid him on the right hand side this time, why did we say to get used to laying people on the left hand side?
The left hand side, because usually if you're doing it with a man, then it doesn't really matter what side you're doing it on.
Yep.
But if you're doing it with a pregnant female, then you don't want to be doing any harm to her or the child.
Yep, well done.
So you roll them over onto the left side, you roll them over onto the left side just to be certain that you're not doing any damage to the baby or her.
Yeah, well done. Okay, so what actually happens is the fetus can squash the inferior vena cava, which is one of the main blood vessels bringing blood back up to the heart to be oxygenated. It can be life-threatening to both fetus and woman. Okay, folks, that's our quick presentation of the primary survey, secondary survey, and the recovery position. Hope you've enjoyed it. The next session will be CPR and exhaled air resuscitation and the use of a defib. So I look forward to filming that, I look forward to bringing it to you, and stay safe out there. Hope you never have to use these skills, but they're vital to have if you do. Now remember, if you have enjoyed it, if you have learned a little bit, subscribe, like, leave a comment below. It really does help the channel. The more interaction we have, the more we know that the content we're bringing you is what you want to see. All the very best for now. Stay safe.